Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So more and more people are losing their jobs and people's pensions are at risk because of what is happening with Bud Light. All because they partnered with Dylan Mulvaney and decided to put their social standing before business. And so much so that Governor Ron Desantis is launching an investigation into the company's practices where he believes that they were reckless, essentially, when they decided to enter into politics, rather than just focusing on business and doing what is best for their shareholders to make sure people's pensions are safe, to make sure, people's investments aren't squandered. So he's launched this investigation for the shareholders in Florida, and he's looking for some answers. So let's take a look.
But no one needs cash more than Bud Light, who teamed up with Dylan and lost $16 billion in market value and lost its number one spot in the beer market. The owner of Bud Light, InBev, their stock's tanking. It's a shareholder massacre. And it's not just rich people getting massacred. Middle-class workers with pensions are seeing their portfolios implode. Florida pension funds got rocked when Bud Light teamed up with Dylan. Florida pensioners, they overweighted InBev. So Florida police officers, teachers, firefighters are witnessing their retirement funds collapse. Bud Light went woke, and first responders went broke. So Florida Governor Ron Desantis is calling on the board, who runs the Florida Pension Fund, to sell all InBev stock, unload Bud Light, and get out while they can. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis joins me now. So, Governor, how badly did this pension take a hit?
Well, we had over $50 million worth of InBev stock in the pension. Of course, Florida's pension fund's about $180 billion. So it's a pretty big endeavor, but it has absolutely hurt teachers. It has absolutely hurt other pensioners. And, we talk about woke corporations, and a lot of times we focus on, understandably, how they're trying to change society, get involved in politics, and we fight back against that. We did that against Disney and others, and that's important. But the flip side of it is just as you suggest, when you start pursuing a political agenda at the expense of your shareholders, that's not just impacting very wealthy people, it impacts hardworking people who were police officers, firefighters, and teachers in terms of the pension. So what we're doing, since we do have these shares, we believe that when you take your eye off the ball like that, you're not following your fiduciary duty to do the best you can for your shareholders. So we're going to be launching an inquiry about Bud Light and InBev, and it could be something that leads to a derivative lawsuit filed on behalf of the shareholders of the Florida Pension Fund, because at the end of the day, there's got to be penalties for when you put business aside to focus on your social agenda at the expense of hardworking people.
And this is what we've been saying for the whole time. The company should not have got involved in politics. The company should not have put their social, credit score, whatever, before making money, before ensuring, what's in the best interest of their shareholders. They cared more about their stakeholders, the people who, like BlackRock, Vanguard. They cared more about meeting their requirements as opposed to the regular hardworking people who the CEO claims the company cares about so much and, claims the company is going to be focusing on for now. But unfortunately for their employees, more and more of them are losing their jobs because of this ill-fated partnership with Dylan Mulvaney. We've heard about them shutting down production plants, and that has continued. It's only gotten worse, and more people are losing their jobs, more and more people are losing their livelihoods over this whole situation. So the boycott is the catalyst for all of this. People are not supporting a company that pushes gender ideology on their beer drinkers. And as a result, regular people are the ones suffering. The company's obviously lost billions in revenue, market share value has gone right down, their stock has fallen, and they're no longer the number one beer. After a controversial partnership with transgender TikTok personality Dylan Mulvaney resulted in months of Bud Light's slump in sales, Anheuser Busch InBev announced that it laid off hundreds of workers. Brendon Whitworth, CEO of Anheuser Busch, the world's largest brewer, on Wednesday said the company did not make the decision to cut staff lightly, but was prioritizing its future long-term success, the Wall Street Journal reported. And, this is the CEO who many believe should have stepped down. That may have given, a clear message that they regret their decision. That may have been a fresh start for the company. Maybe if they'd got someone in there who was going to take the right approach. Maybe a new CEO would have been willing for the company to apologize, to make it clear that they're no longer going to be involved in this whole debate, in the culture war. That may have benefited the company. But clearly, the CEO isn't going anywhere and things continue to go downhill. While we never take these decisions lightly, we want to ensure that our organization continues to be set for future long-term success. Anheuser Busch said, "These corporate structure changes will enable our team to focus on what we do best, brewing great beer for everyone." Whitworth clarified the layoffs included corporate and marketing roles at US offices in St. Louis, New York, and Los Angeles. It did not impact brewery and warehouse staff, the company said. He keeps saying they want to focus on brewing great beer, but obviously that was not their only focus, and it backfired. It backfired big time. So now you want to go back to that, but you've not come out and said anything to win back customers. They've not attempted to win back customers by directly addressing the situation. All these commercials they're doing, I don't really see how that's beneficial to the company or beneficial to their revenue. So there are a lot of corporate jobs going. I'm imagining Alicia Heinenscheid and the other marketing exec, can't remember his name. I imagine they're gone now. Like, I think that's official. I doubt they're going to be on leave forever. So if marketing, jobs are going, then I think it's safe to say they're gone. But who knows? Maybe these corporate jobs, there's a lot of these jobs where the roles aren't strictly essential, and it's quite easy for the company to cut costs by getting rid of these roles that, for the most part, aren't essential. But that's not much comfort to the people losing their jobs, obviously. Anheuser Busch employs roughly 18,000 workers across the US. Fox Business reached out to Anheuser Busch for comment, but a response was not immediately received. The cuts come as Bud Light sales fell nearly 30% compared to 2002 amid boycotts after it partnered with the transgender social media influencer. Wow, so they're at 30% now. Last time I checked, it was 28%. It continues to decline. And I think it's safe to say that unless something is drastically done, it's going to continue to go down to the point where there may no longer be a Bud Light. Yeah, so this is the CEO who said, "We never intended to be part of a discussion that divides people," Whitworth said in April. And that was the statement that looked like they were doubling down. And both sides were annoyed with that statement because they didn't reaffirm their support for Dylan and they didn't apologize for partnering with Dylan in the first place. They did neither. And that's what really set things off, even to the point where the left started boycotting them. "We are in the business of bringing people together over a beer." Well, too little too late. In June, Whitworth addressed customers again in a post telling them, "We hear you," but did not apologize for the partnership. What exactly did he hear? He's never actually said, what is it that you heard your customers saying, that you heard conservatives who are boycotting you saying? What is it you heard? And how are you going to address that going forward? "We recognize that over the last 2 months, the discussion surrounding our company and Bud Light has moved away from beer, and this has impacted our customers, our business partners, and our employees. We are a beer company, and beer is for everyone," he continued. "As we move forward, we will focus on what we do best, brewing great beer and earning our place in moments that matter to you." So again, that's a straddling the fence sort of statement. And as long as he continues to make statements like that, their sales will continue to decline and more people will lose their jobs. Shareholders are not going to be happy. It's getting serious to the point where, people's pensions are at stake. Regular hardworking Americans who aren't, multi-millionaires. So it'll be interesting to see what comes up with this investigation, because it's not just Bud Light and Anheuser Busch who are doing this. So many companies are doing this now. And it makes people wary, because if they start getting involved in politics, they start caring more about virtual signaling, they start caring more about preaching to people, shoving ideologies down people's throats, their businesses will suffer because people will just turn their backs on supporting those companies. And shareholders are going to be the ones who suffer. But yeah, they get a pat on the back from their stakeholders, great. But where does that leave us? The only hope for Bud Light is to get a new CEO. Maybe they get a CEO with a track record of, just focusing on the product. Maybe a conservative person, someone who is known to be a conservative. That might actually speak volumes to the customers who have turned their backs on them. But, that's not going to help them with their social standing. So they're kind of stuck. And they don't want to throw away either side. That's what it appears. But clearly they need conservatives, because without conservatives, look what the result is. There's a lot more of us than people realize. Even people who are in the middle are getting sick of the whole thing. Even some liberals. Now, radical leftists, that's another story. But people who just, believe in traditional family values, who have common sense, they may be on the liberal side, but even they are beginning to see that these companies are going too far, and it's not their job to tell people how to think, to tell people what they should accept. You just make beer. So why are you inserting yourself in this whole thing? In the fallout of the campaign, Anheuser Busch placed 2 employees on leave: Alicia Heinenscheid, Vice President of Marketing for Bud Light, and that's it, Daniel Blake, Budweiser's Group Vice President for Marketing. Bud Light also lost its top spot as the #1 selling beer brand on a dollar basis to Modelo Especial. So apparently they're still the #1 brewery. The sales of Coors Light and Miller Lite increased by 25.8% and 21.4% respectively over the same period. Anheuser Busch will release its quarterly financial report next week, and we're going to be there to examine it. And yeah, I'm sure it'll be very interesting and abysmal. They should have nipped this in the bud from the beginning, no pun intended. They should have nipped it in the bud from the very beginning. And I don't know why they didn't. It's because they didn't think the boycott was going to be sustained, because boycotts aren't usually sustained. They're not. And that's what they were banking on. From their experience, that's what happens. But clearly, the radical leftist agenda has become extreme. So we have to become more extreme with our boycotts. We've got to take it seriously. So I will say, though, I do feel for the employees. They had nothing to do with this. They're not the ones who made that decision, that ridiculous decision. And now they're the ones facing the consequences. In this climate as well, it's not exactly easy to go from one job to another just like that. I feel for the employees, and I hope that the company makes the right decision going forward to save jobs. That's going to take something drastic for that to happen. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.